Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of REVlogue. Andy here. Before I start the video, first of all, I really want to thank everyone. I finally broke the 1,000 subscriber mark. Thank you all for your patronage. I don't know if you all know, I know a lot of people are here because of the GR86 video. As much as I like talking about cars, I actually like driving the cars even more. And recently we did a full in-depth review of the Kia Stinger. So if you want to check that out, please hit the link above. And, you know, these in-depth full reviews do require a little bit of money. So no pressure, but if you would like to donate, we have a Patreon page as well. So check out the link in the description. Now for today's topic, we're going to discuss the G80 and the G82 M3 M4. But before we get to that, there's one topic that I want to discuss. It's a little bit of a heavy topic, but I do want to talk about this. Recently, there's been a suicidal death in the Hyundai design studio in Seoul. Before I start talking about this, my condolences go out to the family. Rest in peace for the designer that was involved. I don't know anything official. This is just, everything's just assumptions online. But the rumor has it that maybe he was really being overworked, or a lot of people from the upper executives were just calling him names and just mistreating him. I think some media in Korea is pointing the fingers at the design director who was recently in charge of revamping the overall design line of Hyundai and Kia. I don't know if everyone knows, a lot of Korean corporation, there's a lot of playing favorites and sucking up to the upper executives. I'm not saying Hyundai's like that. I have no idea really. I don't work there. The rumor has it that it was just a lot of being made fun of or being ridiculed, stuff like that. I think the guy was in charge of the Hyundai Tucson design, the new one. And in general, a lot of the new Hyundai designs were very breaking out of the mold, unconventional things, and there was some stress associated with that. So again, you know, my condolences go out to the family. But yeah, onto the BMW M3 and the M4. So for the first time, the BMW M3 M4 competition will come with the BMW X-Drive all-wheel drive, and the cars also have staggered wheels in terms of inches in diameter from front to back. So that'll be interesting. Unfortunately, it did add a little bit of weight. You know, when I drove the F-Series M3 on the Thermal Raceway when they first opened, it was just a phenomenal experience. To be honest, it kind of broke my stereotype of a luxury sedan. The M3 was just a fantastic car, especially in comparison to the E92, which I know a lot of people like because it's of the NA V8 feel. But the way it feels so light on its feet, the F chassis is just in another world, in my opinion. But I'm a little bit afraid that the new G chassis M3 M4s have added a bit of weight. So hopefully that doesn't take the fun out too much. There's another slightly worrying thing, and because now the BMW M3, the M4, the base ones have 480 horsepower, and the compact now is 510 horsepower, which, you know, I assume also the torque goes up as well. And they needed a more robust transmission. You know, the MDCT is now gone, and they've added the M-Steptronic, which is basically an 8-speed ZF transmission. And nothing wrong with the ZF, it's just awesome in both worlds in terms of daily driving and also the shifting speeds. But what I really liked about the older BMW M DCT is that it really mimicked the aggressiveness of shifting like a manual car. You know, it wasn't just all smooth like a PDK. The MDCT had some roughness built into it, and I actually really like that. You know, as a manual driving person, when I jumped into the MDCT, it was just like that roughness every time you shift. It was actually adding to the fun of the driving experience. So we'll have to see if the new M-Steptronic will behave the same. And the cars were shown with the M Performance parts already added on. There was really nice, like some titanium exhaust that takes away 7 kilograms of weight and stuff like that. But like the two-tone, you know, paint scheme, and like the overall really loud, like metallic green and all this. Again, you know, I don't have the money to buy the new M3 M4, and especially that awesome wagon that's probably not coming to the US because, you know, BMW is not going to want to sell like 5 of them in total. Hopefully the Audi RS Avants do well. Yeah, it's just, I really like the understated look of the E46. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old, but I guess BMW did some research and found out that the potential buyers for these M3 M4s just really like more of a loud design. Whether it's the paint scheme or the really busy surfacing, we'll get to the grill, but just minus the grill, even the new Hofmeister kink transitions and in general the way the car looks. If I'm really honest, I know I'm gonna burn some fans here. I just think it's a little too frat boy. I mean, for me, I like the more understated E46. Really classic, simple look with really good proportions. You have to really look at it to catch all the details, whereas the new BMW cars in general, I just think it's really flashy. Design is a personal opinion at the end of the day, so I won't dwell on it too much. But I think we'll have to see one in person to really make a final call. I do think the larger grille works better on the M cars versus the regular 4 Series, particularly because of the wider opening underneath. I know the BMW X5 designer really openly criticized the new design. I know one of his main complaints was that there's really not a place for the license plate. But in my opinion, I do think the bumper actually has a little bit of a horizontal shape that kind of gives it a place, but it's really only for the European license plates actually. So it'll be really interesting to see how the American license plates go on front of the grille. I just can't shake off the feeling that maybe the marketers went to the design team and was like, "Hey, look, Audi's doing really well with a huge grille design. Can we do something like that?" And maybe it forced the designers to change the grille design somehow. A lot of German car design fans in general, they get upset when you change a lot of things. For example, the shape of a 911, or in case of BMWs, the Kidney Grill or the Hofmeister kink. The vertical long grille started in 1933 on the BMW 303. And apparently due to aerodynamics and cooling, they've decided to split up the radiator grille and give it a little bit of a slant. And that design sort of evolved in 1956 on the 507, where the face started to widen a little bit. And then we get to this beautiful machine here, the BMW Z8, designed by Henrik Fisker under the supervision of Chris Bangle. I know back in the days, Chris Bangle's design was a little bit controversial, and we used to call it Banglified. But it's very important to design something that consumers are ready for at the time being. Obviously, the Z8, is really a cool classic design, and the fact that it was in a 007 movie adds to the coolness. But Chris Bangle was surely ahead of his time. I mean, a lot of automotive journalists don't really like the Coupe SUV, but it's really hard to argue that Chris Bangle started that trend with the BMW X6 back then, which wasn't really liked back then, but now a lot of people like it. And this sort of phenomenon where people kind of grow into the design, notably recently from Lexus, the spindle grille. I know that was also a controversial design. But when was the last time you've talked about Lexus design very emotionally and passionately? Probably never before that spindle grille. And again, this design philosophy is called design porridge. The design porridge is a philosophy that a design agency called Sunberg Ferrar likes to talk about. Basically, it talks about being rewarded for calculated risks instead of making something that fits in the box for everyone. Because if you make something for everyone, that means you've made something for not a specific group without any originality and character. And it basically just goes into the porridge, that pretty much a vanilla ice cream that no one really cares about. So again, the grille is a little bit controversial on the new M's, but because the car designers have to kind of anticipate what the new designs will be popular within next few years, not design of today, I think it's always a safer bet to push it a little bit, but we'll see how this design ages over time. What do you think about the new BMW grille? Leave me your comments down below. Now, the price of the new BMW M3 on the German website says 61,411 euros. So that translates to 71,447 and some change USD. So my guess is it'll be somewhere around that, and maybe when you option it out, getting close to $100,000 mark. I'm gonna totally butcher this, but we have a few cars called HEA, referred by the Wimmer Post people, and it stands for, wait for it, Edle ist Ausstattung. Sorry, my German friends. but let me say it again. Anzler erst Ausstattung. And that is a direct translation of dealer first equipment, or first few cars produced for demoing purposes. So actually, I know of one guy that's already put in a deposit for a new M3. And these HEA vehicles are coming already, but obviously not every option is available, so be aware of that when you put in an order for the new M3 M4, for those of you that are really lucky enough to own one. But yeah, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. Again, I know it was a little bit of a heavy topic before we got to the M3 M4, but again, my condolences go out to the family. I don't want the designer's death to be a waste, and I think a lot of people deserve to know what happened. So yeah, we'll see what happens, and really excited to see the new M3 M4 in person whenever it finally comes out. It's really unfortunate that we don't get the wagons here, but maybe if we keep knocking, we'll get something. And then reminder one more time, we do a lot of full in-depth review of the cars, so please check that out. And I'm looking forward to seeing your opinions in the comments down below. I guess they do look kind of like a pig nose a bit.